WNBA started and all the talk is about CaitlinClark and Angel Reese.
Angel Reese lost her mind after a smart foul.
WNBA has this exciting rivalry, and we've talked about CaitlinClark and Angel Reese for so long.
When you thought the WNBA drama couldn't get any hotter, Angel Reese breaks out once more, and Ryan Clark isn't holding back this time.
When you look at the play, Angel Reese pushed one of her teammates. CaitlinClark had a hard foul, which is part of basketball. I feel like it was assessed correctly. And Angel Reese's reaction, you took an intentionally hard foul. That's competitiveness. That's rivalry. That's not hate.
In a split second that ignited social media after what many believed to be a routine foul by CaitlinClark, re-exploded. However, Angel increased the temperature rather than keeping it cool, and now some are wondering if she went too far.
When last year, it was the rookies. It was Caitlin, it was Angel Reese. This year, we're back at it, right?
Yeah.
I would have thought they were trying to promo a fight. And I think Angel just got up in frustration. Angel, you got to take that one, baby. Like, it wasn't even necessary. I think it was a little bit too dramatic. I believe Caitlin handled it like a pro.
Caitlin, on the other hand, remained calm, responded maturely, and allowed her game speak for itself. Once more, Angel opted for pandemonium. The twist is in here. Ryan Clark, who frequently defends strong personalities, just revealed something shocking that could ruin Angel's reputation.
Any racism directed at Angel Reese is probably 90% made up by Angel Reese. We've seen it.
What did he say, and why are so many people suddenly criticizing Reese for being unruly and petty jealous? Yes, we are dissecting everything. If you think CaitlinClark handled it like a pro, please leave a heartfelt comment to express your admiration.
CaitlinClark is a likable and lovable superstar. She pays homage to the stars of the past. She pays homage to the Black women that have come before her, and now she is carrying the mantle forward. CaitlinClark is the most important player in the WNBA.
CaitlinClark knows what's coming. CaitlinClark rises up and is the star.
CaitlinClark is phenomenal. She is somebody like we have never seen before.
You guys are lucky you have CaitlinClark. You are lucky you have the Indiana Fever.
This inferno wasn't caused by a violent altercation. An ordinary basketball play turned into one of the WNBA season's most divisive moments. CaitlinClark gave Angel Reese what is referred to as a take foul during a recent game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky.
Let's talk about CaitlinClark's hard foul. Angel Reese gets the ball. CaitlinClark goes over, does a hard foul, commits a hard foul on Angel Reese.
This is a basketball play.
Now, with this play, they did call a flagrant 1 on CaitlinClark.
It was a calculated action. Clark was attempting to stop a simple two-pointer. However, what transpired next made a straightforward infraction into a widely shared headline. Reese's reaction as she hit the ground was explosive rather than merely frustrated.
Angel Reese can be great in her own right, as CaitlinClark is as well. No need to pin those two against each other and paint them based on stereotypical tropes.
Things almost came to a head when she rushed up and confronted Clark. Although feelings were running high, the interaction wasn't the only thing. The sky had already fallen significantly, and Reese's response was more indignant at the scoreboard than at Caitlin. It wasn't caused by a shove. Clark, however, kept it elegant despite the ego. She calmly and clearly addressed the situation after the game, stating that it was simply a nice take foul.
I got the tech?
I didn't know that.
Oh,
First of all,
I know.
Let's not make it anything that it's not. It was just a good play on the basketball. I'm not sure what the refs saw to upgrade it, and that's up to their discretion after watching the initial whatever happened during the play and then whatever happened after. You know, we watch a lot of basketball. It's a take foul to put them at the free throw line or rather give up 2 points. You know, I've watched a lot of basketball in my life. That's exactly what it was. I wasn't trying to do anything malicious. That's not the type of player I am. So, yes, it wasn't anything like that. And I went for the ball, and that's clear as day in the replay. You watch it. You know, it shouldn't have been upgraded, but again, that's up to the ref's discretion. But I appreciate AB having my back. I guess I don't even know what she did. I didn't see that. Yeah, well, girl, have fun paying that fine. Can I get half? Can you send me? I got it. Oh, perfect.
I wonder if you could.
It's not malevolent. She informed everyone that she wasn't attempting to convey a message, as every basketball player is aware. She was merely engaging in intelligent competitive basketball. Indeed, players frequently engage in this behavior. It is a component of the game. No extra shove, no filthy hit, and no malicious intent were there. It was verified by the replay. That was it. Clark went for the ball.
Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know? If either Angel gets wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
However, the referee noticed the tension and escalated the infraction to a flagrant Angels overreaction, made the situation appear worse than it actually was, which is when the issue broke out. The way Angels teammates and fans responded made matters worse. Rather of dismissing it as a simple basketball play, they made it into something more, an indication of competition, a justification for criticism, and a justification for intensifying. The us versus them mentality. What might have been a little clip hidden among the highlights turned into a cultural spark. It was Angel Reese's response to the bird, not the bird itself. Her outburst of annoyance was loud and uncalled for. The fact is that CaitlinClark didn't foul more than any other player. The only thing that changed was that it was CaitlinClark, and every move you make is amplified when you're CaitlinClark. As the controversy around the CaitlinClark versus Angel Reese confrontation heated up, comments began to pour in. However, opinions weren't limited to fans or commentators. Major media figures and former NFL players joined the fray. RG3 Robert Griffin III.
RG3 called what Angel Reese did hate. He said you could see the hate on her face for CaitlinClark. The one thing we know about RG3 is he's not having conversations at his home about what Black women have to endure in this country, about what young Black women and athletes like Angel Reese have had to deal with being on the opposite side of CaitlinClark's rise and ascension into stardom. No.
Made news when he openly asserted that Angel Reese's response demonstrated genuine animosity toward CaitlinClark. He said that it was obvious from her face and that he wasn't speculating when he stated it as fact, which is how things became even more complicated. However, Ryan Clark, a former NFL player who is now an ESPN analyst, wasn't letting
3. He said Angel Reese legitimately hates CaitlinClark.
And he always points out on social media the color of his wife's skin, as if the color of her skin is what makes her special, as if the color of her skin is what makes her a good wife. I've met the lady, I've had a conversation with her. Right. I think she's more than that.
In a brutal critique that didn't hold back, Ryan Clark ruined the plot of RG3. He began by asking how someone might infer someone's emotional state or intent from their facial expression alone during a heated exchange.
So where was this type of reaction last year when Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun? Y'all remember that? She got fouled so hard, they kicked Aaliyah Thomas out the game with a flagrant 2 foul. What did Angel Reese do? Nothing. She didn't get up and try to swing on her. You know why? The reaction was different because of who did it. And there is a lot of history there with CaitlinClark and Angel Reese.
Reading hate off someone's face, in Clark's opinion, is not just foolish, but also harmful. He stated, "I'm not really sure when we moved into being able to read expressions and know someone's intent, character, or perspective." Then he delved further, going right into RG3's private life. According to Ryan Clark, RG3 has never experienced what it's like to be a Black woman in America or in athletics, particularly one like Angel Reese. He criticized RG3 for missing the background knowledge and perspective to make such audacious statements, particularly because he hasn't discussed the struggles faced by Black women in his own home. Clark went one step farther by bringing up RG3's unions with white women and implying that he has the cultural background necessary to discuss the hardships faced by players such as Angel Reese. It was forceful and intensely personal. However, despite his defense of Angel's experience, Ryan Clark was aware of her actions and made it apparent. Angel Reese went too far. Her reaction went beyond a simple infraction. It was excessive and emotionally heated, especially given the circumstances.
It's unbelievable. This is another view right here of Angel just really dropping F-bombs. I think she says, you're effing crazy, something like that, blah, blah, blah. You crazy as F. What the F is wrong with you?
Aaliyah Boston steps in and stops Angel Reese.
Clark pointed out that although the league benefits from emotion, there is a line between fire and fury, and Reese crossed it. Her response provided critics with the fodder they required to cast her as the antagonist, and she gave it to them with ease. However, RG3 didn't back down. He intensified his remarks and even included people who had previously criticized Angel Reese, such as Keith Olbermann and Dave Portoy, in the conversation. This led to a media frenzy that only deepened the divide between those who support Ree and those who believe she is harming her own reputation by allowing her emotions to rule her. Then, with his now viral J acronym, Michael Thompson, the father of NBA player Klay Thompson, fanned the flames.
Caitlin, I've been noticing,
Yeah.
I've been following her career since she was a sophomore at Iowa, and I recognized how different she was, how different she played the game. I used to tell all my colleagues who are not into women's basketball, I say, hey man, you got to check out this girl at Iowa, man. She shoots from the logo. She shoots from almost half court. She's different. And men who travel with us in our traveling party who are basically anti-women's basketball, just didn't care for it, didn't want to talk about it, had no interest in it at all. All of a sudden, they started watching Caitlin Clark and got intrigued by her, and they became fans of her and her game. She needs a Jeep endorsement, commercial, because Jeep is an acronym that I've come up with of the way she has been treated and not welcomed into the WNBA. Jeep, the acronym is JEEP, and that stands for jealousy, envy, egos, and pettiness.
4 adjectives, in his opinion, best describe Angel Reese's actions: envy, pettiness, and jealousy. He claimed that the way some players, particularly Ree, have treated Caitlin Clark shows a great deal of animosity against Clark's notoriety, skill, and supremacy in a league where she is already the most talked about player. Although he didn't come up with the concept, Ryan Clark didn't dismiss it either. He merely suggested that we stop using racial overtones to pit these ladies against one another and instead concentrate on their individual brilliance. Nevertheless, this entire portion revealed a harsh reality. Angel Ree is supporting the very narrative that she says she opposes. By letting her feelings run the gamut in public and displaying obvious annoyance whenever Caitlin Clark performs or attracts attention, Ryan Clark made it apparent that Reese is exposing herself to the precise kind of criticism she claims is unjust. Stop acting like a villain if you don't want to be called such. Drama is one thing and emotion is another. Both Ryan Clark and RG3 ultimately discovered something genuine, but from different perspectives, RG3 pointed out the animosity. Ryan Clark criticized the inequity of labeling.
And I think this is what I'd like RG3 to know. No matter how much he continues to echo the microaggressions of racist, he'll be no less black than me.
However, what brought both of their opinions together was that Angel Reese's response was needlessly dramatic and directly related to a plot point that portrays her as petty and envious, even if that isn't who she truly is. Caitlin Clark and Angel. Reese's relationship wasn't a one-off incident. This went beyond a single infraction or game. When you zoom out, a distinct and indisputable pattern appears, with Angel Ree at its core. Passion is no longer the main factor here. Rather, there is mounting proof that Angel isn't merely responding to Caitlin Clark, she is aiming for her. Angel's actions toward Clark during the previous year, whether motivated by envy, bitterness, or just ego, build a much larger picture that cannot be disregarded. Let's revisit the 2023 NCAA championship game between LSU and Iowa, which marked the beginning of this rivalry's national prominence. Ree pointed to her ring finger while making the iconic "you can't see me" motion in jest at Clark. Many people at the time thought it was just heat antics and competitive trash talk. Even still, it was evident that Angel Ree wasn't satisfied with simply winning. She desired to degrade.
Where was this type of reaction last year when Angel Reese got chokeslammed by Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun? Y'all remember that? She got fouled so hard, they kicked Aaliyah Thomas out the game with a flagrant 2 foul. What did Angel Reese do? Nothing. She didn't get up and try to swing on her. You know why? The reaction was different because of who did it. And there is a lot of history there with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. You guys remember last year when Angel Reese celebrated Kennedy Carter getting that flagrant foul on the hip check against Caitlin Clark? You remember that? On the sideline, just, yeah, baby, get her, you get her. Who celebrates like that for a flagrant foul on another player if they don't dislike that player? Okay, you want some more evidence? Here's some more evidence. Remember last year when they were talking about who gets the credit for the expansion and the eyeballs and the popularity boost of women's basketball, not just the WNBA, but women's basketball in general, because of the spike in the women's NCAA tournament and in WNBA viewership. A lot of people were attributing that to CaitlinClark, and rightfully so. This is what Angel Reese had to say, and I quote, "People are talking about women's basketball. You never would think they'd be talking about women's basketball. People are pulling up to the games. We got celebrities coming to the games, sold out arenas just because of one single game. Just looking at that, I'll take that role. I'll take the bad guy role, and I'll continue to take that on to be that for my teammates. I know I'll go down in history. I'll look back in 20 years and be like, the reason we're watching women's basketball is not just because of one person. It's because of me too. I want y'all to realize that." Now, I heard a lot of people say that I or others have made Angel Reese the villain. Did you not just hear herself call herself the bad guy? She called herself the villain. I'm not making her the villain. She's making herself the villain.
She desired to control the story. Since then, she has made Clark her main target. Fast forward to the WNBA, and the behavior didn't just continue, it became worse. You may recall Kennedy Carter's egregious foul that sent CaitlinClark sprawling to the ground when he hip bumped her. Who was on the sideline celebrating? Reese Angel. She didn't wince in alarm or get up to console her teammate. Rather, she leaped to her feet and cheered as though it were a game-winning three-pointer. She yelled, "Yeah, baby, get her, you get her." It was personal, not a matter of teamwork. Someone with a long-standing grievance against the other person is the source of that type of response. And this animosity keeps manifesting itself in both subtle and not so subtle ways. When fans and the media started attributing the surge in women's basketball popularity in the WNBA and NCAA to CaitlinClark, people are pulling up to the games, sold-out arenas just because of one single game, Reese said, unable to be mute any again. When I look at that, I'll assume the character of the villain. She asserted that in 20 years, she will be seen as a contributing factor to the interest in women's basketball, not just Clark. Furthermore, although it could appear to be confidence, on the surface, what she was actually doing was challenging the notion that CaitlinClark had taken on the role of the sports spokesperson. It was a deflection and an unwillingness to accept